Hello, welcome to this Academy studio session. I'm going to demonstrate for you how to validate and calibrate the internal sensor of the EmbryoScope Plus Time-Lapse system. And in the end, I'm also going to speak about how you perform pH validation in the medium that is cultured in the system. So before you start doing validation and calibration of the internal sensor of gases and temperature, you should use, of course, your gas analyzers, and they must also be calibrated before use. So when you do a validation of the temperature, you need to open up the instrument for inserting a probe. So do always start validation the gases, because then you haven't had opened and it is completely stable. The gas analyzer should be fully charged or be in on main supply when you do it. Good. So what you do? The frequency when you should do validation of your gases should be according to what is described in your standard operating procedures, of course. But Vitrolife recommend this to be performed at least every 14 days. So now I'll start with the gas analyzers. For this demo system here, we have only added CO2. And you know the CO2 is how it's regulating the pH in the medium. So it should be within the right range. And the set point that you set is, of course, set according to the manufacturer medium company. And for Vitrolife medium, it is 6.0. Within at sea level is important. Of course, when you are operating maybe in a clinic that is at another altitude, there is fewer CO2 molecules. So you had to make a pH measurement there to make the right CO2 concentration. But for now, we are at sea level. And it sets to 6, the set point is 6.0 CO2. So what I do here is I go into the tool where you validate, and you can choose between temperature sensors and the CO2. So we go into gas validation. You can follow the calibration and validation on the screen over here. So from the analyzer, you put the tube on here. It's a little bit difficult with my left hand, so maybe I'm going in front of here. So make sure it's tightly on. And then you put the tap here to the left. That gives you access to the embryo chamber. And then you turn on the fan. And you should, now it's taking sample from the embryo chamber and measuring. I would say, for now, this is a demonstration. So you would make your measurement after 10 to 15 minutes. So it has to be, get the right concentration there. But for now, of course, it is already here. So you can see it's measuring 6%, and this corresponds to 6%, as the sensors also says within the instrument. But in case, let's pretend. First I would say, if it's out of range, then the first thought I would have, is it calibrated, my instrument here, my analyzer? But it might also could be that the outside partial pressure due to weather that is very high or low pressure, partial pressure, that will actually affect your analyzer measurement. So then I would do it the next day when it's back to normal. We should not worry about the EmbryoScope. It takes that into account. But if the analyzer is not taking this into account, you could start calibrating in a wrong direction. So don't do that. Now it is absolutely the same. Or now it's taking in what it currently is. But let's pretend it was 6.2, and the set point is 6.0. So then you go in here and you put 2 plus, because it moves 0.1 for each of the step. So in that case, Now it's just what? This is the measured CO2 by the sensors inside, so very soon it will be at 6%. So in that case, it was 6.2. I will press 2 times on here. Now we just do it for demonstration. And then I press on the check mark here, and then it starts calibrating. And then, theoretically, now it's a demonstration, I'll do a new measurement within 15 minutes, and then it has stabilized and find the level, and then it should be at 6% again. Good. Normally, I do it stepwise, because otherwise you could over calibrate a little bit, and you have to go back down again. So I prefer to do it stepwise. Even though that a gas analyzer is calibrated, there is a little bit deviation from one instrument to another one, so you must expect sometimes there is a natural deviation of 0.12. So I will never calibrate the machine when it's only deviating 0.2. If it's more than 7, deviating plus minus 0.3, then you should contact our support team for advice, and because this is not normal. It's very, very stable actually. But I would do it if it deviates 0.3. Okay? And you can see here in the graph what you have done, and you can also see in the log how much I actually have calibrated the machine. Good. So this is all about CO2 calibration. If there are any that have questions according to the CO2, we will take it in the end. Is that okay? So then we will continue with the temperature measurement. So what I will do, of course, I go back here, and I take off the tube, and I turn the valve to the left, and put on the cover here. But everything is locked, and you can always go back and see in our log what you have done later on. Good. So this was all about gas validation. And there is also, where the embryos are cultured, they are placed on the plate. There are 2 sensors that work independently. So it's just like a spiral in a sandwich construction under the plate where embryos dishes is located on. So in case one of them should have a malfunction, there will be a warning, and you will contact us at VitroLife Support. But you can still continue culture your embryos, because the other one will just completely take over. So it's safe for you to do that. But you need to validate each of these 2 sensors. So again, you go into the tool here. So we take first the temperature sensor A, and it will move to this area where I'll put in the probe. The temperature analyzer must be, what we recommend is a high precision thermometer. And what is very important is that the probe that we use have a diameter of 1 millimeter in diameter, because it has to fit directly into this hole and go into a channel where it gets very close to where the embryos resides. So now it moves to this area, and I'm going to, I need to have my glasses on, sorry, because it's small. So you put in the probe here into the channel, and make sure it remains inside while you do your measurement. So you can take the cable up here and just close it. When you look here into the screen where we measure, we can see, to ensure 37 in the medium where embryos resides, it has to heat up to 37.3. So it also means when I do my measurement, it will show 37 here. It's 37.33.4, so it's really, really stable. But in case it was maybe 37.5, then you would tell the machine to calibrate that it's a little bit higher than expected, so you want to calibrate a little bit down. And then you'd show here that it actually was maybe 37.4, and you press on confirm, and then it will start calibrating, and you will do a new measurement 15 minutes later, I would say. Good. And it should not deviate more than, even if it's so stable, and if it deviates more than 0.2, contact us at the Vitrolife support, and you'll get an advice about what to do, because this is not normal. It is so stable. Good. So now I will take it off here, and then it asks me, have you removed the temperature probe? No, I haven't yet. So I take it out and remove it. And now I confirm, and I will continue with sensor B. This is just done in completely the same way. And if we went into the log here, you will see, you can also see it's displayed in the log what we have done. So we can go into here. I always think, actually, if we go into this one, I just have to confirm that I did it. Sorry. So actually, in the log, it can also be shown what you have calibrated in this long log here. Good. Perfect. So, now a little bit about pH measurement. If you're using a very good medium like GTL medium, for instance, the medium from Vitrolife, there is not lot-to-lot variation. But there are some that prefer still to do pH validation. There are two options of doing this, but it depends on what kind of pH meter that you're using. If you're using a blood gas analyzer, you only need to use a small amount of medium. It's around 70 microliters. And then you can just use a standard dish. So you put 250 microliters in each of these reservoirs and overlay with 1.6 mils of oil heavy is the best. And then you cultivate it overnight, at least for 24 hours. The next morning, you take a sample from the medium, and then you use your blood gas analyzer immediately after that. And then you have a very proper measurement. But in case you're using a standard pH meter with a microprobe, you need more medium. And here we have designed a lid that is a little bit different. It's still the same culture dish as the EmbryoScope Plus dishes, but we're using a lid that is permeable for CO2 molecules. That is the molecules that control the pH of the medium. It's made of silicone, and it is non-toxic for embryos. So then you put in 3.5 mils of the culture medium from a newly opened bottle, and you add the lid firmly, make sure it's completely on. Put it into the EmbryoScope for at least 8 hours, but you can do it for 8 to 24 hours. And before you take it out again for your measurement the next day, of course, you had validated everything before, so you make sure that the sensors is as they should. And then you calibrate also your pH meter. This is very, very important. So everything is ready for your measurement, because when you have taken it out, it is exposure to the environment outside, so your measurement should be done immediately. You take it out, and what you do is that you turn it one time upside down. And it's because there is formed droplets on the inside of this lid. And to equilibrate it with the remaining medium, you just need to do this one time upside down. You take off the lid, and you put the microprobe directly into the dishes and perform the pH measurement. So that's actually what it is. let's pretend that the pH was a little bit too high and you wanted to get closer to 7.3, then you have to go and change your set point to a higher level, because then we take more CO2 in and that will lower the pH. So this is where you do this. Okay? So actually, I think that's all what I have for now. Always calibrate and validate your analyzers before you start doing this. Before a pH measurement, the internal sensor of the CO2 gases should be also be controlled and calibrated if needed. Good. And the one that do pH measurement, they do it only at a new lot number, and then a regular CO2 measurement is sufficient. So that's all for me.